Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be taking you through every time algebraic fractions has been examined. And if you do want to use this document, it is linked in the description. Now, for algebraic fractions, there are tons of things to do with quadratics. So really, this is where quadratics are going to be coming in for this sort of stuff. So it wants us to simplify this particular fraction that we've got here. And your key for this is always to do as much factorizing as possible. So I'm going to begin by factorizing the numerator, which we should recognize is the difference of two squares. Difference of two squares means x squared minus 16 is going to become an x plus 4 and then an x minus 4. Now we could use the long method about how to do this kind of factorizing using the AC, these two things multiplied, blah, blah, blah. But I know that one of the brackets is going to have to be either an x plus 4 or an x minus 4. So let's just experiment with what it would be. The reason I know it's going to be either a plus 4 or a minus 4 is because I want it to simplify, which means one of them is going to cancel out with these. So let's pretend I don't know which it is. I do know there'd have to be a 2x here, and in order to get the 12, there's going to have to be a 3. And when I know that the 2x is going to be to get the 2x squared, and I know that the 12 is going to give me the 4 and the 3 that we have there. So we just need to decide which is going to be positive and which is going to be negative. Now, one needs to be positive and one needs to be negative for this part that we've got here. Let's just try out, if this one was negative and this one was positive, we would get minus 8x and then plus 3x. Minus 8x plus 3x. Yeah, that does give us the minus 5x that we wanted to. Now, if we did get it the other way around, let's say we started with this one with a plus and this one with a minus, we would have got 8x minus 3x, which is plus 5x. So we would have known that that wasn't the right way around to do this one. So there is going to be a minus and there is going to be a plus. Now, to cancel them, I can cancel these two things out like this, which just leaves me with x plus 4 in the numerator and in the denominator 2x plus 3. Let's double check and see if we've got this one right. Yep, x plus 4 and 2x minus 3. Okay, so again, we want to do as much simplifying as possible. Now, I don't particularly like factorizing these kinds of quadratics, so I'm going to factorize this one first and see if that one gives me a clue. Now, the highest common factor is going to be a 2x in this part, so there's going to be a 2x and then x minus 3. Well, I think that's going to give me a clue that the numerator is going to have one of the brackets as an x minus 3, so very quickly we can figure out what the other ones should be. Well, there's going to be a 3x to get the 3x squared, and to get the minus 3, there has to be a plus 1. Let's just check it works. So that's a 1x minus 9x. That does give us the minus 8x. So I can cancel these two bits, and that just leaves me with a 3x plus 1 over 2x. So do you see how you can use the clues that the question gives you to help you factorize some of the bits that might be harder to do? So we've got our 3x plus 1 over 2x. Okay, so now we're going to do some multiplying fractions, and then in the next one there's going to be some adding fractions. Well, like I said, you always want to make sure that things are fully simplified or fully factorized first of all. So this one that I've underlined, I definitely think we're going to be able to factorize with the difference of two squares. Okay, difference of two squares means I can factorize the top as a 2x minus 3 and a 2x plus 3. That's because the square root of 4x squared is 2x and the square root of 9 is 3. I'm also going to factorize the denominator because they have a common factor of a 3, which then gives me a 2x plus 3. So we've already got something that's going to simplify there. And then on the right hand side, I have a 2x, and then I've got my x squared minus 3x. That's going to be in x brackets, x minus 3. So let's see what things can cancel here. I think this 2x plus 3 and this 2x plus 3 can definitely cancel. I think the x in this numerator and the x in this numerator can cancel, which is going to leave me with just, in the numerator, 2 brackets, 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3, and in the denominator it's a 3 and an x minus 3. 3 and an x minus 3. So you always want to factorize and cancel first. Expanding the brackets, you get 4x minus 6 in the numerator, and in the denominator you get 3x minus 9. So it does say where a, b, c, d are integers, which is 4, minus 6, 3, and minus 9. So we want to express this one as a single fraction in its simplest form, which means it needs to have a common denominator, and the common denominator is going to be an x plus 1, and an x minus 2. That's the common denominator, which is coming from all three of these being multiplied together. So to make the first fraction have that denominator, it's already got the x plus 1. I need to multiply the top and bottom by an x and an x minus 2. So the 3 is going to multiply by an x and an x minus 2. Now for the next one, the 1 is already got an x minus 2 with it, so it's going to need an x plus 1 and an x. It's going to need an x plus 1 and an x. And then the negative 4 has already got an x, so it needs an x plus 1 and an x minus 2. And that is all going to have that common denominator of x, x plus 1, x minus 2. So we're going to do some expanding in the numerator, and I think I'm going to run out of space. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to shrink that down a bit so that I have some more space to answer this. Okay, so on the numerator we have, I'll do the 3 times the x first. That's 3x times x. That's 3x squared. And then the 3 times the x times the minus 2. That is going to be minus 6x. And then I can ignore the 1 because that's just multiplying by 1. X times x is x squared, and x times 1 is x. And then for the last part, I've got minus 4 lots of these two double brackets expanded. So that's going to give me the x times x is x squared. And then to try and simplify this next stage, I've got x times minus 2, that's minus 2x, plus x. Minus 2x plus x is just minus x. And then I've got the 1 multiplied by the minus 2, which is just minus 2. And that is all going to be divided by my same denominator, x, x plus 1, x minus 2. Now to save us a bit of time, I'm going to see if we can do all of this at once, okay? So I have a 3x squared plus x squared, that's 4x squared, minus 4x squared. So all of the x squareds are actually going to cancel. Now let's just have a look at the x parts that we've got. So I've got minus 6 plus x, and then negative 4 times negative x, that's 4x. So that's minus 6x plus x plus 4x. Let's do that a little bit slower on the calculator. So we've said that there's a negative 6x, we're adding on 1x, and we're also adding on 4x, so it's going to be a minus x for that first one that we've got there. Now the constant terms that we've got, the only constant term that we've got is the negative 4 multiplied by the negative 2, which is an 8. So we have minus x plus 8 over x brackets x plus 1, x minus 2. And of course you could write the numerator as 8 minus x if you prefer, but I'm quite happy to leave it in this form that we've got here. So we got that one right for the beginning part, and we also got this part for the second one that we have. So let's put the calculator back to the other side of the screen. It says here, show that this can simplify to just ax, where a is an integer. So factorize, factorize, factorize. So to begin with, 7x minus 14, I'll take a 7 out, and we get x minus 2. Now let's think about the denominator that we've got. This is a pretty easy one to factorize. We're thinking of two numbers that multiply to give minus 12, but add to give 4. Well, I think it's going to be a plus 6 and a minus 2. And then, because it's a division, remember with fractions, you keep the first one, you flip this one, and you change that to a multiply sign. So I'm going to flip this one over so that we got our, I'll tell you what, I won't do that now. I'll do just all the factorizing first of all, and we'll do that keep, flip, change in just a second. Now, the denominator can factorize. If I take out a factor of x, I then get x squared minus 36, and I'm hoping you're going to recognize that this thing is another example of the difference of two squares. So I'm going to do a bit of simplifying, and then I'll do some rewriting. So first of all, in this first fraction that we've got here, the x minus 2's are going to cancel. So when I rewrite this out for the first part, I'm just going to get a 7 over x plus 6. And then for the next part, it says divide by x minus 6 over x brackets. Now, because it's the difference of two squares, I'm going to do an x plus 6, x minus 6, which means the x minus 6 here and here are going to cancel, and that just kind of leaves me effectively with like a 1, because when you cancel, you're dividing by that thing. So we're now going to do the keep, flip, change. We're going to keep this, we're going to flip this one over so that it's x brackets x plus 6 over 1, and we're going to change it from a multiply from a divide to a multiply. Now this x plus 6 here can cancel with this x plus 6 here, so that what we are left with is just 7x divided by 1, and 7 divided by 1 is just 7, so we get the answer 7x. And we feel pretty confident that's good because it told us it simplifies to just ax, where a is an integer, and we do get that 7x for that part there. Okay, we've got another kind of division sort of one, and it wants us to end up with this particular part. And again, you can see they're a bit obsessed with this thing. It's a difference of two squares. We have a square number and a square number, and a difference between them. It is a difference of two squares. You'll see me writing dots quite a few times in this. So let's just write out the first part. We get our 6x cubed. Now, the denominator, 9x squared minus 144, the square root of 9x squared, is 3x. And the square root of 144 is 12, so you get 3x plus 12, and then you get 3x minus 12. And then for the next part, we're dividing it by 2x to the power of 4 over 3 brackets x minus 4. Now let's change this from the division, let's change it to a multiplication. So we're going to keep this one the same. You might notice something that's going to happen. Well done if you do. We're going to flip this one over, so it's 3 brackets x minus 4 divided by 2x to the power of 4, and then we've changed it from a divide to a multiply. Now I'm wondering if you can spot the fact that this thing is the same as this thing that we've got here, because this would give you 3x minus 12, this is also 3x minus 12, so I can cancel this with this, which leaves that with a 1. And I'm wondering if you can spot some other things that will cancel. I have a 6 and a 2, which means I can do the 6 divided by 2. If I do the 6 divided by 2, I would get left with 3 at this point. And you might notice this x cubed and x4, I can divide the numerator and denominator by x to the power of 3. So if I get rid of this whole x cubed, I can just get rid of that part, which is to the power of 4. Now this might look a lot confusing with all of this crossing out, so I'm going to just take it one stage slower. So doing all of this multiplying, the numerator that we've got is just 3x cubed, and the denominator that we've got is x to the power of 4, 3x plus 12. Now I think you might be able to spot what I was just doing there, that if I want to get rid of this x cubed, I can reduce that x to the power of 4 to just an x. So we get 3 over x brackets 3x plus 12. Now we're nearly there, apart from the fact they wanted a 1 and we've got a 3. It's to do with this part. That part isn't fully factorized. So if I take a common factor of 3 out of these two things, we would be left with 3 over 3x brackets x plus 4. And now you can see that the 3's there are going to cancel, leaving me with the 1 in the numerator. So we end up with 1 over x brackets x plus 4, which is exactly in the form that they wanted it written right here. Yep, there's the answer that we've got. Only 3 marks for that. I think they make you work pretty hard for those 3 marks. Okay, this one wants it to be written as a single fraction, so they've told us what the common denominator is going to be. Remember that common denominator is a difference of 2 squares. There it is again, which means it's actually come from an x minus 3, x plus 3. So the 2 that we've got needs to be multiplied by the x minus 3 and the x plus 3. And then we've got for this part the minus x plus 2, the minus x plus 2 has already got an x minus 3, but it needs to be multiplied by an x plus 3. And the minus x minus 6, make sure that you leave the minus there, the minus x minus 6 has already been multiplied by an x plus 3, so it needs to be multiplied by an x minus 3, and all of those are going to share the common denominator of x squared minus 9. Now I'm just going to keep doing this on the next line so that I've got more space to do this. We know that x minus 3, x plus 3, we know that's the same as x squared minus 9, so that's 2 lots of x squared minus 9. We then have minus, let's do these quite quickly, that's going to be an x squared plus 2x plus 3x, so that's plus 5x, and then the 2 and the 3 gives us the 6, and then for this next part we get an x squared, we get a minus 6x minus 3x, that gives us a minus 9x, and then negative 6 times negative 3 is positive 18, and all of that is being divided by x squared minus 9. So the numerator is going to be 2x squared minus 18. Now this negative is going to apply to everything inside that bracket. So it's minus x squared minus 5x minus 6. It's also going to apply to everything in here. So that's going to be a negative, that's going to become a positive, and that's going to become a negative. So we get minus x squared plus 9x minus 18. And that is all divided by x squared minus 9. So all that's left to do now is figure out what happened in the numerator. Well, they wanted there to be no x squareds in this numerator, and there won't be because 2x squared minus x squared minus x squared completely cancels. So all I need to do is concentrate on the x terms that we've got. So for the x terms, I have a 9x minus 5x, which is 4x. And then I've got a minus 18 minus 6 minus 18. Now I'm going to be really lazy. I'm going to say that I've got minus 18, and a minus 6. So that's minus 42. And that is 4x minus 42 over x squared minus 9. Let's double check and see if we've got that right. Yep, we have the 4x minus 42, except 4x minus 42 like that. Oh, it says work out the value of a and the value of b, so I hadn't even done that. The value of a is 4 and the value of b is minus 42. Always remember, read the question, do a better job than I've done there. Okay, we're going to write this as a single fraction in its simplest form. Again, we just want there to be a common denominator. The common denominator we want it to be is a 3x and an x plus 1. So the 5 needs to be multiplied by a 3x, and the 2 needs to be multiplied by an x plus 1. Common denominator will be our 3x and our x plus 1. Now it's just a matter of expanding the brackets. So we get 15x plus 2x plus 2 all over 3 brackets x plus 1. So we get 17x plus 2 over 3x x plus 1. And that's a fraction in its simplest form. Nothing else can be done to that one. Great, only 2 marks, so nice and straightforward. Again, once this is a fraction in its simplest form, the common denominator this time will be x plus 2 and x minus 4. So the x is going to need to be multiplied by an x minus 4, and the 2x is going to need to be multiplied by an x plus 2. Give it the common denominator of our x plus 2 and our x minus 4. So the numerator is going to be x squared minus 4x. We then get plus 2x squared plus 4x, all divided by our x plus 2, x minus 4. And the minus 4x and the 4x are going to cancel, which means we just get left with 3x squared over x plus 2, x minus 4. And sometimes people think you need to expand the denominator, but it's really actually preferred to leave it in factorized form like that. So we've got the correct answer for this one as well. Again, we've got some more adding. I think the common denominator this time is just going to be them being multiplied together, and 2x times 5 is just 10x. So the 4x plus 3, that's all going to be need to be multiplied just by a 5, and the 3 is going to need to be multiplied by a 2x. The denominator is going to be the 2x times the 5, which is just 10x. So expanding those brackets, we get 20x plus 15 plus 6x all over 10x. So that is 26x plus 15 over 10x. No simplifying can be done because these 3 numbers don't have any common factors. And it says that a, b, and c are integers, so we've got 26, 15, and 10. Perfect. And I think this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one on this part. So it says, show that 6 plus this thing simplifies to this. Okay, well, let's just look at this part that we've got. So we're going to do our x plus 5. We're going to say that it's a division. That's fine. We'll leave it as a division for now, but I'm going to factorize this part that we've got here. Now, I don't think it's going to simplify with this, but I think it's going to simplify with this in a bit. But let's say you didn't know that. Just think of 2 numbers that multiply to minus 10, but add to 3. Well, I think those 2 numbers are probably going to be a plus 5 and a minus 2. They multiply to minus 10, add to 3, and that's going to be divided by x minus 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do the keep flip change. So I'm going to keep that. I'm going to flip this one over. You could have those brackets around the x minus 1 if it is necessary. And we get our x plus 5, x minus 2. So I've kept it, I flipped it, and now I've changed it, which means I can cancel the x plus 5 here and here, so that this section that we've got, which I shall highlight in yellow, this whole thing here is just this part that we've got. Why don't I write it again so it's even simpler to see? It's just x minus 1 over x minus 2. So all we need to do now is 6 plus x minus 1 over x minus 2. Now the common denominator that we're going to go for is just going to be an x minus 2. So the 6 needs to be multiplied by an x minus 2. The x plus x minus 1 doesn't need to be multiplied by anything because it's already got the common denominator of x minus 2. So expanding the brackets, we get 6x minus 12 plus x minus 1 all over x minus 2. That gives us 7x minus 13 over x minus 2. Let's double check we've got it right. 7x minus 13 over x minus 2. Okay, so that is everything on algebraic fractions. You really need to know what is going on with the cancelling kind of process. You need to know what's going on with factorising quadratics. You need to know how to add fractions. There are so many different skills here. If you have found this useful, please do drop this video a like, share it with a friend. If anyone is doing any revision for their GCSE Maths, it would be so helpful for me for you to share it and make sure that you're subscribed to my channel. Wishing you the best of luck, and I will see you in the next video soon.